All right. Here's the Rubble, episode number 14. That intro song was Soul Crushing by Ratstick, and actually that's who's joining us today. First, though, as always, I'm joined by RJ.
What up?
But then, yeah, today we have Austin from Ratstick here with us.
How's it going, guys?
That's going pretty good, man.
Yeah, not bad.
Nice
How
to
you
have
been?
on.
Thanks for having me on. This is really cool.
Yeah, of course.
We were talking a little bit earlier about this. I think even before. No, I think RJ was here, but it doesn't matter. This is just something that I feel like we need to get out of the way right away. Joey Jordison just died, which is sad, man. Yeah. I don't know, RJ. I don't know if you... Yeah, go ahead, Austin.
Yeah, like I was saying before, man, those first two Slipknot albums, the self-titled and Iowa, they're like some of my favorite hardcore albums. Because I really only got into hardcore when I started playing at Ratstick, but those two albums, like, I listen to them once a week.
Yeah.
That's pretty rough, man. I wish his family well, at the very least.
He was only 46, too, which is, like, crazy. RJ.
I don't know what happened yet.
Yeah, I was going to say, I actually didn't even fully look it up yet. I should have done that. But, yeah, man, that's a huge bummer. I was a big fan of, like I said, his work in Slipknot. And then also his other band, Vimic, was, like, really good, too. I don't know if you guys ever listened to them. RJ, I know you're not a huge Slipknot fan, are you?
I'm not not a fan, but yeah, I've definitely not listened to them as much as anyone else here.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Gage likes them quite a bit. So really, anytime recently I've listened to them was probably through Gage.
What was that side project, that other band you were saying?
Vimic. I think it was like the band after he left Slipknot, he was in like a side project, and then Vimic, I believe. But Vimic was really good. They had a song with Dave Mustaine actually featured in it.
Oh, right on.
But
Yeah,
I think he
wrote
was
that
just
down
playing
because I haven't
guitar.
heard that yet.
Dude, check them out. They're actually fantastic. Simple Skeletons, She Sees Everything. I think they only have like 4 songs, which is a huge bummer because I think they're supposed to put an album out and then it just didn't happen.
Right.
But yeah, they're really good. But yeah, that's such a bummer, man. It says here, okay, he died from a nerve disease, peacefully in his sleep. Jeez.
Okay, I vaguely remember hearing something about this now, like a little while ago. Was it with him?
I don't know.
Yeah, I feel I may have heard about that before.
That's a shame, though.
Neurological disorder. Yeah, that's rough, man. I mean, but he was beating himself up for a real long time, so who knows if that has something to do with it. But
In a similar vein, did you guys see? I think DeLong or Mark Hoppus, one of them two, has. I can't remember what kind of cancer, but from Blink-182, one of them has cancer right now.
Oh, jeez.
Well, I know Tom DeLonge had it back in I want to say 16. Don't quote me on that. I'm probably lying through my teeth right now, but I think this time it's Mark Hoppus.
Oh, okay.
Damn. Does that mean that I can't make fun of not Slipknot, of Blink-182 anymore if 2 of their members have cancer?
Well, I think one of them beat it.
Yeah.
Okay, so then I could still make fun of him then.
Yeah.
Damn. But yeah, sorry. I just figured if we didn't talk about that, someone would have been like, "Hey, man, what the hell? You heard about that?"
Dude. Like I said, I read about it on my way home when I was rushing here to get this going.
It's literally same, yeah. Jalen, our social media guy, he messaged in the group chat just a picture of like the headline that Joey Jordison had died, and I was like, "Fuck, man, like that's rough." I don't know. I was a big fan of like I said, Vimic, and I was really hoping that they'd put that album out. And then again, obviously,
I mean, it's
what's that? Sorry,
recorded somewhere.
Hopefully, if it still comes out, I would love that because yeah, they only have like 4 songs, but they're all fantastic. But speaking of fantastic music, see what I did there? I'm bringing it back. Austin, you were the guitar player for Ratstick.
Yes, sir.
And
former bass player for Ratstick.
But yeah, you guys have an album out called appropriately Ratstick, and it's fantastic. So people who are listening, you absolutely should check this out. It's really, really, really good.
I do appreciate the kind words. That's awesome, man. I'm glad you like it. We did a lot of work into that, and it's it's our debut. You know, we've those are the first 5 songs or 6 songs we wrote as a band, and it's cool the response we're getting.
Yeah,
very
I definitely
grateful.
think you guys are killing it. I just listened to the album like an hour or two ago before we started recording, and yeah, you guys are killing it.
Yeah, I was listening to it at work today too, actually. And I've been listening to it basically all weekend too. It's fantastic. Like you said, it's your debut. It's a hell of a way to kick the door down and introduce yourselves as an album, I think,
Yeah,
or as a
definitely.
band.
Thanks. Yeah, so we recorded that at the Swamp Sound Studios. Shout out Hunter Young at the Swamp Sound Studios. He put that together for us, and we didn't really know what we were doing. You know, like we just got together and started writing songs, and it turned out to be, you know, we were studio ready, and so we just went for it. And Hunter really helped us out along the way and made that album sound as good as it could. And I'm really glad to have been a part of it, and I'm glad to see where we're going next, because over COVID we've almost completely changed our sound.
Right.
Interesting.
Tonally, like we still play the same songs and everything, but tonally we're a completely different band than we were at that point, and we're just glad that now with COVID hopefully lightening up, we can, you know, get back into the studio and show everybody what we're really made of, you know.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely.
It's interesting you said that you changed your sound so much.
Not even in drastic ways, just like
Is it
that,
just you guys are
down
meshing
to-
together now? Like,
yeah. Now we've been playing 2 years together instead of 1, and
right. Yeah.
you know, we have different equipment, and you know, believe it or not, amps and guitars, you know, they make a difference in your
Oh,
sound.
dude,
for
huge
sure.
difference.
And,
Absolutely.
you know, like if you don't have, I hate to say it, but honestly, like your rig is what stands you out from other bands. Like if you're a serious band, you gotta have serious rigs, and I hate that,
absolutely.
but it's the truth.
That's the
Yeah,
thing, man.
definitely.
It comes across as like really elitist to be like, oh, well, you know, if you don't have like certain equipment, you're not gonna. But it's true, man. The guitar tone is one thing that constantly eludes me. I've never really been able to like figure out how to get like the right guitar tone. Like I'm a bass player primarily. My bass tone, that's okay. I have a decent bass tone. I know what I like it to sound like. But when it comes to guitar, I have no idea. And I've worked with like a lot of guitarists who like will like walk in with a giant pedal board and they step on all these pedals and they dial in the perfect tone and it sounds fantastic. But like the difference between like them playing guitar and then me and how it sounds, even just tone alone, like take away the technique, the gap it's insanely huge. Like,
Yeah,
and
it's a never-ending quest, really.
Totally.
Because I have a Marshall JCM 800 that I've been using, and I get like a really good, warm, like mid-range sound out of it. But I mean, I love it for Ratstick, but now I want more. You know, like, I
Right.
want to buy more stuff and see what different sounds I can make. And really, for
Totally.
pedals, man, I just use an overdrive. Like I just dime out an overdrive and let it make my tubes hot.
Hell yeah.
Other than
Hell
that,
yeah,
it's
dude.
just weird noises and effects. And if you guys listen to the album, you heard plenty of that stuff.
Speaking of, oh, sorry, go ahead, RJ. It's something you wanted to say?
I was just gonna say, and all of that talking about like, you know, better gear definitely provides a better sound and everything, and that's not even saying like bands with worse gear sound or aren't as talented.
Oh, no,
or
no,
anything.
Not at
It's
all.
just
Not
the
at all.
mainstream will not accept you unless you're spending the money on the gear.
Yeah, well, I mean, and there's a select group of people. Our other guitar player, Elijah, for example, a lot of the music he likes it to sound like shit, and he just
totally.
likes, like poorly mixed, you know, where like the guitar is all high end and the freaking snares piercing your ears.
Well, I mean, have you ever listened to
He loves that.
shoegaze? That's basically all shoegaze is. It's just
Right.
like, you know, what if we wrote some really cool riffs and then recorded them so that no one could hear them?
Right.
And
I
that
feel like
shit
The Verge
rocks.
did that in the early days too.
Yeah. Like, sorry, I guess what I was saying earlier, like I said, I was trying not to come off elitist or whatever. There's a lot of bands that I like who have recordings that don't sound very good. Like, and sometimes that's totally part of the charm, you know, like,
Absolutely.
yeah, right. I like, for example, this, I don't know if this is a controversial opinion or not, but the band Joyce Manor, they have an album called Songs from Northern Torrents. But like the songs on that album, they're good songs. They just don't sound very good the way they're recorded.
Right.
But then like if you listen to like basically any Pat the Bunny.
Oh yeah.
Same thing. It's
Dude, Pat the Bunny, Wingnut Dishwasher Union,
Yep.
right.
Johnny
Like,
Hobo and the Freight Trains. That's a
it's
deep dive, dude. But
Oh,
you're
you're
right.
speaking my language.
I love all that stuff.
I'm like the folk punk guru of this podcast.
Dude, I
Oh,
saw
I
that.
mean-
I saw the folk and the punk up there. I was
Yeah.
like, all right, because that's my roots, man. Like,
Oh,
I
hell
only
yeah.
got into hardcore when I started playing with Ratstick, like I was saying. But before that, like, my dad grew me up on punk rock, and so
Hell yeah.
you know, I grew up listening to like NoFX and Bad Religion,
hell yeah, dude.
like that, and Black Flag and whatnot.
Oh
and
fuck yeah.
the list goes on, dude. Like, I
Yeah.
could name 500 California punk rock bands that I grew up listening to.
Yeah.
But I went and saw. I don't know if you've ever heard of a band called Days and Days.
Oh fuck,
Dude.
dude.
So
Absolutely.
yeah,
This
I went and saw
podcast is
them a
very
couple of years
friendly
ago.
towards
Yeah,
D&D.
we're big
Hell
Days
yeah.
and Days fans.
I went and saw them and Leftover Crack
Oh.
at it was Back Booth. Now it's Soundbar in Orlando.
Okay.
Okay.
But dude, I'd never heard anything crust punk or folk punk before, and that turned me on to it for sure. It was a really good live performance with she had like a washboard and shit.
Oh.
She was making noises on. That shit was cool as hell.
Yeah, Days
yeah,
and
dude.
Days is sick. Yeah, they got like two of the weirdest instruments for a punk band to use: a washboard and a wash tub bass.
Yeah, man, that's some Les Claypool shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Before we get too far away from it, I just wanted to ask, you mentioned that like you guys went in the studio not really knowing what you guys were doing. Did you just mean like with the recording process, or did you guys kind of like change the songs and kind of write it and find it in the studio?
So so I had been to the studio before. I was in another band a while ago called Part Time Nothing. It was a punk band I did guitar and vocals in down in Melbourne, Florida. And so
Nice.
we had been to a studio before, and Elijah, our guitar player, does a little bit of producing for like hip hop and stuff. At least did
yeah.
before this. And so he had a little bit of studio experience, but for the most part, we didn't have a plan going into the studio because we hadn't all done it together, if that makes sense. Like, we didn't really know what our process was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of that, the songs weren't, I don't want to say they weren't ready, because now I'm glad we recorded them, but we have changed. Like, we don't play them live necessarily the exact same way now.
Right.
But Hunter really
Interesting.
helped us structure. There's a couple of parts that he was like, you know what, this part would really need is, this, and then we would try it and like it. And so he really helped, produce that as well. He helped us structure our songs and the help that we needed. And I mean, he really helped us out because, I think the record sounds great, and I don't think that we would have been able to do that without him.
Yeah, a good studio like sound engineer can really make a huge difference. And
not only that, he helped us with writing.
Exactly. Well, that's the thing. There's this dude that I sort of, well, I guess no would be a little bit generous. There's this guy in Edmonton. He has a recording studio called, I think it's Royal Studio or whatever. But he once did a presentation like at the university that I go to about like the recording studio and stuff. And he said that sometimes like he'll have bands come in and he'll be like, all right, how like receptive are you guys to new ideas, to change or whatever? Because sometimes he'll like help bands find what they're really trying to make in the studio. Like he said that sometimes he'll get people just be like, all right, what is the general vibe of this song and how much are you open to suggestion? And he said sometimes bands will walk in with something and they're like, here's an idea we kind of have, and then they'll come out with like a full song that's like completely different, like while they're recording it, which I find like really interesting.
Absolutely, dude. There's a lot of bands that record their albums that way. Like, from what I understand, the last Every Time I Die album that they recorded, they haven't put out yet, and maybe even some before that, they like write that stuff in the studio.
Yeah,
like they go there with riffs, and ideas, and like the lead singer has vocals written somewhat, and then they just make it work. But then again, they have the budget and the time to do something like that.
Yeah, harder for smaller bands to do that.
Oh yeah,
when
completely.
studio
but,
time is so expensive.
That's the grind, man. It's what it's about. And I'm not trying to be, I don't think any of us are trying to be, the next big thing. I just like playing music.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
And we're glad to drive as far as we have to make that happen. And people like it. And that was really the thing for me at the last couple of shows that we have done, is the turnout has been great. And seeing somebody wearing your band T-shirt, like that's never happened to me before, and the first time it did was kind of surreal. You know, it's like I don't
Right.
know you, and you're wearing my band T-shirt.
Yeah, that's
pretty.
sick.
I was gonna say that I don't know you thing. That's the cool part. Like I've had, this is embarrassing to say, I've had like bands in the past where like we have T-shirts and then like the people wearing them are like, oh, that's our drummer's mom or whatever. But like, yeah, the idea of like, you know, someone that you've never met before is wearing a shirt and you're like, oh shit, like this person likes our band just because of the music, not
Yeah, it
because of
doesn't
like,
have
oh, you
anything
know,
to
they're a
do with
friend of a
us.
friend.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, which is
Right.
awesome. That's a great
It's
place to
pretty
be in.
validating because you know your friends could tell you they like your
Totally.
music all you want, but they're gonna lie to you.
Yeah, right.
Dude. 100%.
It's like when my friends tell me they like this podcast.
That's
Dude,
funny. I've never had a friend
I
tell
do
me
like
that.
this podcast.
Thank
and
you.
I
Appreciate
wouldn't quite
that.
consider us friends yet. We're on our way.
Yeah.
But
We'll get
this
there.
podcast is great. You guys, you know, you're just beginning. You've got obviously plenty of room to grow and, you know,
Totally.
figure it out, you know, but for what this is, you guys are doing great.
Thanks, man.
I listen to podcasts a lot and I've heard some bad ones. This ain't one of the bad ones.
Hell yeah. Thanks, bro.
Nice. We made it, RJ. We're not one of the bad ones.
Yeah.
Sick.
So I was figuring we could take a listen to the next song, Murder.
Right.
And this is actually kind of special because these are unreleased, unmixed, you said, songs, right?
Well, they're mixed. They're just
Okay.
not mastered.
Okay.
So we recorded these at Space Camp in Jacksonville with our buddy Drew. He killed it. We went in there trying to get the live essence of our band. You know,
Right.
like what we actually sound like. And not to say that the first album isn't what we sounded like, but we didn't know what we wanted to sound like then. You know.
Oh, fair.
And
yeah.
so these two songs are particularly cool to me because we wrote them both in a span of like 8 hours.
Oh, wow.
For the most part, obviously some
Yeah.
structuring changed, but the general essence of the song was written pretty quickly. And I really do think that the best songs come very quickly. You know, if you have to work on it forever, it's probably not going to be what you want it to be anyway. But that's just not how these turned out. We cranked them out, we got them done, and we recorded them. We're going to be releasing these two on their own, and then we're going back to the studio to record the rest of the EP. We might even do a whole album. We haven't really decided yet, but we've got enough material to do a whole one.
Awesome. Killer. Yeah, let's give a listen to Murder.
I'm pretty excited about this, actually.
Yeah, me too.
I haven't heard it yet because
Thanks, guys.
yeah.
Hell yeah.
Control, no one will leave me.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah, that was killer.
Thanks,
Fucking
guys.
rocked. That breakdown was
Yeah, we even went a little further and gave it a little tempo drop. at
yeah,
the end,
Yep.
totally, yeah. That was
Yeah,
sick, man.
it was a lot of fun to write and record, and I feel like me and Elijah, the other guitar player, we really bounce off each other pretty good with the riffs and structuring, and it's cool to be on guitar because that last EP, the one that we did before, I played bass only, which was cool. But I feel like now with two guitars, we can get a little bit more dynamic with our parts.
Oh, totally,
And,
man.
get a little bit more melody in there too, which is always good, because we're not just beat down hardcore, for the breakdowns. Like that was kind of my whole thing when I joined. I was like, I don't just want to be breakdown after breakdown. Let's
Dude,
write let's write some riffs and make it fast and fun. And it came out good. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it.
Yeah,
yeah, that song was
definitely.
awesome, man. I noticed I don't think there was any clean vocals on the other album there, but there was some sort of in that, wasn't there?
Dude, shout out to Alex, our vocalist, because he has come such a long way.
His voice is incredible.
It is really good. And it's funny, he found out he could scream because he was drunk and just did it as like a joke. He's actually a really, really good drummer as well.
Nice.
And he just happened to be able to scream, and so
Dude.
he was around when it started, and he's been around ever since, and I love that guy.
I wish I found out that I could scream when I was drunk.
I only know I can't scream when I'm drunk.
I was gonna say I found out that I couldn't when I was drunk. 'Cause, one time I got really, really drunk and just started screaming Slipknot songs again. R.I.P. Joey Jordison, which nobody enjoyed, and I was just slamming my hand onto the ground as I did it. And the next morning I woke up and I was like, my thumb is fucked up. So yeah,
Yeah, I don't think
it's a
I'm
little less fun.
I don't think I've ever discovered that I'm good at something while drunk. Only that I'm really bad at a lot of things
bad
while
at
drunk.
Yeah, word. That's funny. But yeah, no, that's sick, man. So you said you guys have been playing these live, you just haven't recorded any yet. Have you guys written?
We've played
go
them
ahead.
a lot for we've been playing those songs. So when we started Ratstick, we wrote 6 songs, went to the studio pretty much immediately after writing them. And then while we were doing that, we continued to write. And so we wrote another, between 8 and 10 more songs that we're just now getting around to getting ready for the studio. So we've had the opportunity to play way longer sets than our EP, so we've had to fill that time, and it's given us a lot of time to really solidify these songs though, and we're not big enough to where people are like, oh dude, I want to hear this song or I want to hear this song. And even if people do want to hear this song and that song, we have enough time to play them,
Right.
Yeah. So we just throw a couple of new ones in there too, just to test them out. And those 2 were our best ones when we went back to the studio the first time. And so those are the 2 that we recorded.
Hell yeah, man.
Yeah, that's sick.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's really cool. So, how many do you think you guys have written since the last EP? Basically, what I'm trying to ask is there an album coming soon?
It's very possible that we record a whole album. I hate to say it, it really comes down to finances and how long it's going to take us to be able to do it, because it's no cheap endeavor.
No,
but
totally
I would
isn't.
say as far as complete songs that we have ready for the studio that we can just go in and bust them out really quick, we have 3 other ones other than the 2 that I sent you guys. But other than that, we probably have 5 other songs other than that we're still about 80%.
Okay.
And I don't think all of them are going to make it. But we'll find out as we get through the studio and see which songs we want on there and figure out if we're doing an EP or a whole album,
Right. Yeah.
I think you guys are in a really good place then if you can afford to write songs and just be like, you know what, this isn't good enough. We'll just throw it out.
And it's not even necessarily that it's not good enough forever. It's just
it needs more work, right? Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I mean sometimes the best songs were back burners for a band for years.
Yeah.
Do you sorry, this isn't me trying to call you out, RJ, but do you have any examples?
No.
Because that'd be an interesting story. If you
Not
did.
off the top of my head.
Give me a second. Give me a second. I'll
just type that into Google real quick. Gage. Help.
I was not paying attention.
All right, hell yeah, perfect.
Best
This
producer.
cast is, yeah, I was gonna say this cast is the epitome of professionalism.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. There's definitely a lot of bands that I prefer a lot of their demos over the normal songs and stuff like that. Something just fell on my desk.
I was gonna say I heard that. Yeah.
That was me.
Oh,
Again.
never mind. Very professional.
No, totally. And I mean, maybe this is less so like that, RJ, but like, yeah, there's a lot of times where an album will come out and like, you know, bands will promote it with like a couple songs, or like there's the songs that everybody loves off the album, but a lot of times I find that my favorites aren't like those ones, you know, it's something else
Right.
from there.
Yeah.
You know, I think the same way, and I don't know what that mindset's about. I almost feel like for me, it's I don't want to be grouped in with that group of people that only listen to the radio
Right.
song. But
Fair.
to the same time, like, okay, one of my favorite bands of all time is Pantera. But
Nice.
if I never heard Walk Again, I'd be okay with that because, and it's,
Dude,
it's a great
that's
song.
fair.
It's a
That's
great,
fair.
great song. Everything
It's
about it is
very
fantastic.
overplayed.
There's a reason it's on the radio.
Oh,
but
totally.
I've heard it so
Too many
many times, and there's so many more great Pantera songs. You know,
Word, yeah. No, I'm right there with you, man. And actually, speaking of like, I guess like the best songs, whatever, off of an album. When we were trying to figure out what song to use for the intro song, like, well, you had sent Soul Crushing, but I was like, man, can we put War there? Because I fucking love that song, dude. That is
that's
fantastic.
awesome. I was
It's
torn
so
between those two
good.
as well.
Oh, nice. There you go.
Yeah, and the reason I picked this one is actually because we have a music video out for it.
Right, you mentioned that. Yeah, which is
Right,
really
yeah.
cool.
Which the link to that will be in the description for everybody to
Cool.
go watch.
Yeah, it's on YouTube. It's also on our Instagram TV or whatever, and I think it's on our Facebook as well.
Nice.
Which I'm sure, again, we'll have all of that in the description for people to look at when
Oh yeah, for sure.
when this goes up. But yeah, sick, man. Yeah, no, that song is really, really, really good. Like I said, I really did like listen to that EP a lot. Like I was basically anytime I was driving, the last like week, I would just put it on because it's not like a super long. Is it an EP or is it an album? I guess technically
it's an EP. We meant to put it out as an EP. We put it out through DistroKid, so they just kind of put it up. Actually, originally the EP was supposed to be called Year of the Rat.
Nice.
2020 was Year of the Rat.
Yeah.
Nice.
We just we rushed to put it out, and you know I don't regret anything. If I could do it over again, I would put our name on the cover. But even still, I mean,
your name isn't even on. I didn't even notice that.
Register to me.
That's kind of funny.
See, that's the thing. Like, it doesn't really register. It's not about that. It's about the music, you know. And
yeah, definitely.
And we didn't write those songs for everybody else. We wrote them for us, and I think that's why they register so well with the people that listen to it.
And I think
go ahead, RJ.
I think I've said this on the podcast before, but you can really tell the difference between someone who wants to be in a band and get all the benefits that comes with that, and someone who wants to make music.
Absolutely.
And yeah, I mean, you can listen to your guys' stuff and just instantly tell that you guys are doing this because you want to make music. You don't want to be famous and rich. You want to make music.
I'll tell you right now, the cons outweigh the pros as far as being in a band.
Right.
I mean, it's expensive. It's
dude.
tiring. You can't hear anything.
It's so,
you have to wrangle 4 or 5 people to get together 1 or 2 times a week to make sure it happens. You know, it's stressful and it's really hard to do, which is why I'm super grateful for this group of guys, and all of them are super committed to this band. And
that's awesome, man.
It's really hard to find. I've been trying to find it since I was 13 years old and started playing guitar. And
yeah, I feel you, man. Like that was one thing that, like, for me, the longest time when I was younger, it was so hard just finding. First of all, finding other musicians, but then finding other musicians like my age, like growing up, it was tough. Like there was like one drummer in like my entire town or whatever. So like when our band broke up, I was like, well, it appears that I can't start another band because I mean, if I did, it would just like there's a very limited pool of musicians, you know.
Time to start your lo-fi solo EP.
Literally, it's like, all right, I guess I'm becoming Mac DeMarco. I don't know if you guys even know who that is.
I know the name.
I know the name. I've never listened to him.
He's an Edmonton guy.
Right on,
which is
dude. Canada
the
pumps out a
city
bunch
that-
of good musicians. I'm not even gonna
Yeah.
lie about that.
Yeah.
Just last week we were talking about Nickelback.
Well, I'll keep my 2 cents on that.
Yeah.
No, it's okay. I think you have the same opinion that I do. It was just
But I
the
will say-
guests, Safe Sacks, who were all very pro
Right.
Nickelback, which was very funny.
I mean, okay, they get way too much hate. I will say that.
That's
but
what
I'm-
I said too, but I
I'm not
don't
a fan
think
still.
exactly. That's where I land with it too. Where I'm like, they're not as bad as everyone says they are, but
Yeah, I definitely think
Alex
all
and
that,
Carter were saying like, "Oh, Nickelback is like great. They're amazing." That was my Alex and Carter impression. Shout out to those guys. They're both awesome.
Yeah, I definitely think a lot of the hate pointed at Nickelback could be pointed at some other bands
Absolutely.
like Kiss,
Limp Bizkit.
Limp Bizkit, Trapped. Yep.
Hey, Jalen's gonna come for you.
Dude, I don't think Trapped is getting. I think they're getting plenty of hate.
Oh,
right
you
now.
said trapped. I thought you just said trap. Never mind. Yeah. Yeah. I forgot trapped existed. That's hilarious.
I bet a lot of people wish they were in that position right now, Steve.
Yeah.
Forgetting Trapped
Forget about
existed.
I believe it.
Poor guys.
I think there was a Hard Times article recently that was like Trapped paying people to or offer to pay anyone like $35 to request them on Cameo or something.
Yeah, I did see that.
Dude, they're going through it right
it was
now.
Trapped then, right?
They're going through it right now. Everybody's bashing them, and the front man is just feeding into it.
Yeah.
on
Like
social
what
media.
happened? Why did they start getting?
Dude, I have no idea, but I guess people were just bagging on them, kind of the way people do on Nickelback.
The front
And then,
man one day
He got
decided.
all upset.
I'm pretty sure they started getting a bunch of hate when the front man decided he was going to use the band's social media to like, I don't know, promote all sorts of crazy ideologies and shit. He was just being really politically
He
wild.
got all political
Hell
with
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
That's
Trapped
a bad
is like
idea,
the
no
number
matter
one
what direction
Donald
you
Trump
go.
band or
Right.
what?
Dude, you're literally alienating at least 50% of your audience
Right.
immediately. Like, you know,
Well, that just reminds me of like all the people on Twitter who like find out that like Tom Morello is political. It's so
Yeah.
funny whenever people are like, "I listen to Rage Against the Machine for
Well,
the
that's
music,
fucking
not the
obvious.
politics," and
Yeah,
it's like,
that's the
what?
thing. If you're going to be a political band, you got to be political from the start. Otherwise, it
Mhm.
feels like you're just trying to make money off of whatever side you're political for now.
You can't be a grift.
Yeah, you can't be a grifter.
Word. Yeah, but it is very funny when people are like, "Rage Against the Machine? What do you mean they're anti-government? How come they don't like Trump?" It's like, well, I mean, what did
What?
have you listened to that?
Yeah, what did you think the machine was?
Yeah, I don't know,
yeah, dude. Well, I mean, even like in the punk community, like I would say there's so many political bands,
mhm.
like Anti-Flag. They're
Yeah.
super political.
Even No Effects is hella political.
NoFX, yeah, dude.
Bad
Dead
Religion.
Kennedys,
Flag, Dead
all them.
Kennedys.
So Bad Religion didn't talk so much about politics when I was at the shows, but you
Right.
can definitely tell which way they're going in their songs.
Oh, it's in their music. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah,
what was that whole album? It just came out recently. RJ, Age of Unreason. Like
Age-
literally, there's a line that's like, "I don't believe in golden ages, presidents that put kids in cages." Like, who do you think?
Right.
Who's
And
that about?
Even their first record, they even had that song, "The Voice of God is Government." Super
Yeah.
anti-religion, anti-government song.
Yeah, I don't know. Bad Religion. I feel like they do it. They do it quite well.
They do it very
well,
tastefully.
Yeah,
Because I
yeah.
think it's because, dude, so when I was a kid, I used to get in this argument with my parents all the time because they were upset that I liked punk rock. Like my mother and father are separated, so like my dad showed me all that, and then my mom would be like, my stepdad would be like, "Why do you listen to this? It's like so uneducated." Da 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 da. And I'm like, "Mom, the lead singer of Bad Religion, Greg Gaffin, is like a biochemist at Harvard or some crazy shit like."
Yeah, the Milo from Descendants is a biochemist. I think Greg Graffin is like a biological evolutionary studying dude. He like studies
So-
evolution and shit and teaches at UCLA.
And
So
there's
is that what
dude-
Milo went to college for then?
Yeah, Milo went to college for biochemistry, and he
That's
actually
just funny because the album Milo
all
goes to
everything.
college. That's
We have
that
solved
rocks.
all the problems of the world now that we figured that out.
And did you guys know that Milo from the Descendants actually invented like a more potent caffeine?
Are you serious? Is that what hypercaffeine spazzinate is
Hypercaffeine
about?
spazzinate. They named that album after like a chemical that Milo created that's just caffeine but stronger.
Dude, what?
Yeah.
That's wild.
The Descendants. Oh, man, what a cool band. That's funny as hell.
Yeah.
Dude, I love the Descendants.
Yeah, they're sick.
Their older albums are super good. It's like Milo Goes to College, and then what's the yellow one?
I Don't Want to Grow Up.
I Want to Grow Up. Yeah, those two are great.
Yeah, RJ turned me onto them. Actually he turned me on to most of the good punk bands that I like. But yeah, that was one where I think he sent me something from Hypercaffeine Spazzinate. It was like, Steve, you're a bass player. You're gonna like the bass off of this. Yeah. I think it was off of that. It was Limiter. Is that off of that album?
Yeah. That sounds
there you go.
right.
And yeah, I was like, hell yeah, this album or this song rocks. I gotta listen to more of them. And then yeah, like I checked out Milo Goes to College, I think. And I think Everything Sucks was the other one that I listened to like at that time. But yeah, I dig the Descendants. They're solid, man. Which I don't think is a very controversial opinion to have.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
So we could give a listen to what was the other one? Every Time? Yeah.
Well, it's actually called What You Want.
Okay.
We ripped off Every Time I Die. So
that's why the file's called that.
Yeah, it used to be called. Before we had a name for it, it was Every Time I Eli. Like our guitar player wrote most of the riffs for it. Nice. Our other guitar player, and so we just called it that for a little while. It's called What You Want. So
okay.
On the record.
Cool. All right, so let's give a listen to that. What You Want. Yo, that was so sick.
Hell yeah,
I
man.
like that one a lot.
Oh yeah, thanks, man. I'm glad you played it second.
Yeah.
Save the best for last, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely see what you mean. Influenced by Every Time I Die.
Yeah, for sure. I was gonna say, because before you started that song, I said we ripped them off. I don't think we ripped them off. I think it's just our biggest influence.
Right. Yeah, and I recently started getting more into Every Time I Die when Brandon was on the podcast.
I was just about to say, didn't Brandon play a song by them? I know he definitely talked about them.
Yeah, he played a song by them. I can't remember. Oh, it was something Space Bimbos or something.
Oh,
underwater
bimbos from outer
Yeah.
space.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah.
That's
I like how we both got half
Bimbos.
Yeah,
But-
dude. Shout out to Brandon.
Yeah,
He's
he's
a legend.
wicked sick, dude.
He's awesome, man. He hasn't committed to being in Ratstick yet. He's just filling in for us by his word. But I have a feeling we're gonna be able to sway him.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
If you're listening to this and you haven't checked out the Here's the Rubble episode with Brandon from Crash the Funeral, check that out. And then
Listen to their music.
yes. And then in that order, yes, listen to that episode first and then check out their music, because Crash the Funeral fucking rocks.
Yeah, they
They're
got
fantastic.
3 songs out, right?
Yeah, Drinks I
Taste
Repeat,
Blood.
Serpentines, and I Taste Blood, yeah.
Oh.
Which, all fantastic, by
Yeah,
the way.
great
all
tunes.
on my playlist.
Yeah, they as well are heavily influenced by Every Time I Die. At least Brandon. I'm not necessarily sure about the rest of those guys, but even the vocal patterns in those songs sound very Every Time I Die to me, and
Right.
I really like it. And Brandon is such a great guitar player, and Matt, the other guitar player in the band, and which is why I understand why Brandon doesn't necessarily want to be the bass player in Ratstick.
Right.
Because he is a phenomenal guitar player. I look up to him so much in that aspect.
Hell
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, man. Yeah, they're that's another band. Man, what is up with like that area? Like all these great bands coming out of
Yeah,
there.
like Daytona, Orlando area.
Dude,
Yeah.
it's happening right now. I don't ever remember there being this many good quality projects going on here.
Yeah, I mean, even when I lived in Daytona a few years ago, like, local shows were pretty sparse for the most part.
Yeah, man. We really only have one spot in Daytona. Well, we got 2, but we got Tiernanog, which is a little beer bar on International.
Yep.
And then there's Axe and Grog, which is on Seabreeze, they got all sorts of stuff going on in there. It's not just like a bar, but they have shows sometimes. More often than not, I'd say we play in Orlando and surrounding areas, especially since COVID. Like I said, we haven't really gotten a chance to play a ton, like a lot of our shows that we were playing in the COVID times were like practice for us, just trying to get ready for when this is all over.
Right.
Yeah, now it is. And
Yeah, shows
I'm
coming back.
assuming-
Dude, we played a show. I think it was last weekend.
Oh, yeah.
The days are all running together for me.
Hell
We
yeah,
played
dude.
with Body Box out of Orlando. They're a super super tight death metal band.
Sick, man.
That just got started. We played with Grave View and I think Flesh Driver and Mindfield were the other bands, and all of them were great. Like one of them was from Tallahassee, one of them was from Jacksonville, 2 of them were from Orlando, or 1 was from Orlando and 2 were from Daytona.
Nice.
So
Nice.
we had a good spread.
Man, I love being part of this podcast. I really enjoy it, talking to all these cool musicians and bands and stuff like that. But I think every single episode I die a little bit more inside when I think about the last time I've played a show. And like I'm just so
How
jealous,
long's it
dude.
been?
Not since November.
Oh,
Which
really?
that's not like that bad, but like
No, but
I know it's gonna be a while before I do another one too, unfortunately.
Well, you got that much time to hone it, to get
Exactly,
it
dude.
and ready,
Yeah.
and
That's the plan.
where you got to come
Hopefully.
out of the gate strong. That is the one thing I will say about this pandemic. If you come out of the pandemic and you're not better than when you went in, you wasted a lot of time.
Right.
Hey, guess what I did?
There's
Guess
really
what I
not
did?
much else to do. Just play, man. Just pick up your guitar, your bass.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Just play.
become one of the most important things to me. And I pick up my guitar. I've been looking since we got on this podcast. I've been looking at my guitar on the wall.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, man. That's good to have like good practice habits like that. That's something I've been kind of trying to drill back into myself because I was really good about it like the first like few months of the pandemic, and then as it started going on, I got a little bit worse. I used to have like a really good like practice routine where I'd be like, all right, I'll do bass for like an hour, and then I'll do guitar for an hour, and then I'll do guitar and vocals for a little bit, and then I'll go back to bass and like blah blah blah. I used to have like everything planned out to like 15-minute blocks. Like I'm gonna work on scales for this long. I'm gonna work on this. I'm gonna work on that. I'm gonna work on that.
See, I don't even do that, man. I make sure that I pick up my guitar for at least 15 minutes a day. Sometimes I play for 2 hours. Sometimes I play for 4 hours. Sometimes I play for 15 minutes. But I've never like learned any scales or anything. I know like
really.
I know the pentonic scale and like D major. I think my buddy Jada just showed me.
Oh, if you know one major scale, you know every major scale.
That's the thing. It's funny because I've been playing guitar since I was 13. I'm 25 now, and my buddy Jada, he just started playing guitar like 6-7 months ago. And right when he bought a guitar, I was like, bro, you need to learn scales. He's like, why? I was like, because I never did it, and it's the only thing that I like regret. Like, if you learn scales, you will understand the guitar, and you can do whatever you want. And in 6 months,
Absolutely.
he's a better lead player than I am now. At 6 months, I've been playing for almost 10 years or more than 10 years, you know? And it's just a matter of where you put your time. Like, what do you want to do? I think about a year into me playing guitar, I realized I wanted to be a rhythm guitar player and sing. And this is the first band I've ever been in that I didn't do vocals, you know? So now I kind of have the time to learn scales and mess around with that. And I kind of have been, but not very much. But I definitely would like to get into some scales and some legato, and definitely want to work on my right hand some more and get that thing pretty fast.
Dude, it's tough. As like I don't know, maybe it's just a bass player thing, but I find it so hard to like pick fast when I'm actually using a pick, you know? Like my fingers, it's not really a problem. I can do all right, but like I said, I've been playing guitar and like singing in this project that I'm part of, and the biggest obstacle is really just like how not good of a guitar player I am. Like I'm the rhythm guitarist of the band. But like I'll be playing like a song and I'm mute strumming for like 3.5 minutes or something. Not actually like straight or whatever, right? Because that would be boring to listen to. But like I'm just like, damn, my wrist is tired because I'm not used to that movement, you know? Like
dude, your right hand is more important than your left, especially as a rhythm guitar player.
Totally.
Bass player. It is, I would say it's split probably 60-40 at least, if not 70-30. If you don't, especially for bass, if you don't have that attack with your right hand, like
totally,
especially for heavier music, like the biggest thing that you need to know as a bass player in heavier music is like you need to hit the string.
Yep.
Yeah, man. You know, and that's how you get good tone and how you're gonna punch through all that other shit that's going on stage with you know, cymbals and mid-range instruments like guitars, and then you got the vocalist screaming. Like, you know, the bass has to punch through, and if your right hand isn't iron, it's not going to.
It's not going to. Well, it's interesting. I don't know if this is getting too like technical inside baseball or whatever, but whatever. I feel like people won't mind too much about that. But yeah, bass tone specifically is something that I've kind of like I said earlier. I'm like, yeah, I got that. It's fine. But I realized that like my practice tone, which sounded pretty good, it's when I would play live, sometimes it wasn't coming through the way that I wanted it to in the actual room. Like on stage, I could hear myself and it sounded good, but like we got a recording done by like the guy who was on the soundboard at like the latest gig or whatever, and I'm listening back to it and I'm like, my bass doesn't sound like as good as it sounds to me like when I'm on stage in the actual room. So now I'm like trying to figure out how I'm gonna fix that, because
all I can say from my experience, because I had the same problem as a bass player. I wasn't a bass player, so I didn't know anything about bass tone. Elijah asked me if I wanted to play bass. I said yes, because I wanted to be in a band, you know. And it worked out because I worked my way to, you know, having 2 guitar players in the band. But when I was the bass player and I was having the issues live where my sound wasn't punching through, it's really a team effort. You can't just expect your bass tone to fit through. Your guitar players have to knock off the low end. You know,
totally, 100%.
You know, they have to stay in their zone, or else you're not going to be able to play in your zone. You know,
exactly.
And then you just end up turning your bass amp up too loud, and then it's all people can hear.
And so you really, as a band, that was the biggest struggle we had during COVID, was dialing in our tone. Like I was saying, like our live sound has been a real work in progress, because it is really hard to hear every instrument live unless you know what you're doing. And the only way to know is to do it, just to do it a bunch and figure out what works, and then fucking leave it there.
A good sound guy makes a huge difference, but they can only do so much, right?
I honestly, I hate to say this, I prefer to not have a sound guy.
Are you serious?
I know a lot of people who feel the same way.
I would rather just run the vocals and maybe the kick drum through a PA system, and just let us handle our amps.
Man,
maybe a lot of times, man, like I even when we just went and played that soundbar show with Greyview and Body Box. I had to turn my amp down because it was too loud on stage, but it killed my tone. Not completely, like it was manageable, but I had some I had some tone loss because I had to turn my amp down because he was miking it up. See, if I wasn't mic'd up, I could crank that sucker.
That's a very real problem. My roommate,
it's hard to get them on the same page as the band. We're all already on the same page. It's hard to get somebody else that doesn't even know you.
And there's a lot of sound guys.
Bands.
There's a lot of sound guys who are pretty insistent that they know everything from what I've seen.
Yeah, precisely.
So, yeah, I feel like, because, scrolling through Twitter and like Instagram and shit, I always see bands talking about horrible experiences with specific sound guys at specific venues.
I've actually got a funny sound story. We played in Cocoa Beach. We played the show, and I guess the sound guy that was originally supposed to do it got fired.
Oh, damn.
And so this other person was working the sound that night, and the guy who had gotten fired, I guess, had the app on his phone to where he could control the soundboard. And so while the girl was, messing with it on the iPad, this guy, I guess, was at the bar and was like shutting off my guitar and shutting off the vocals.
Dude,
wow.
Yeah, like tried
to
blow
hate to say it, but
that
rocks, man. That is awesome.
It's hilarious. It wasn't hilarious when I was on stage, but
of course
now it's hilarious.
That's really like ultimate levels of petty.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's not awesome, but I would love to be that guy, just to be like, you're
dude.
gonna.
He really did the damn thing. Yeah, he got fired and he came back with a vengeance, and he just messed up, a shitty Ratstick set. Like he really didn't do that much damage. We're pretty much just super loud, so like he didn't really.
You're like, damn, you blew it on this. Like you could have done this like another time. Like really,
right, exactly.
But that's funny. I don't have too many like nightmare sound guy stories, like other than like when I was like in a band in high school. There's this one sound guy who was just like asleep at the board, and one of our vocalists was like, "Man, I can barely hear myself in the monitor at all. He like just turned me down." And then the rest of us were like, "Yeah, he turned you down because you sound bad," but we like didn't say that to him or anything. And then there's at the latest gig I did, the sound guy was like this dude who I guess. Oh man, I feel bad. I don't remember his full name, but he's like pretty like well known in Edmonton, like very, very well respected. Great like sound engineer, to the point where he's like, yeah, I don't do sound checks. I let you guys play, and then I mess with things while you guys are playing, and it sounds good.
That's like, kind of
well. The thing was, this dude is this guy's so well respected, and he knows what he's doing, that we were like,
you definitely can't argue.
All right,
with.
Yeah, we're like, all right, sure, man, you got it, and he was right. It sounded great.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
But it was funny. I was setting stuff up, and I was like just chatting with him while I was setting stuff up, and he looks at me and he's like, "You're the bass player?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Let me guess, you used to be a guitarist, and then you started playing bass after." I'm like, "Yeah, how did you know that?" And he's like, "You talk way too much to be a bass player." And I was like, "Oh, damn, all right." He's like, "I was like, you got me, you got me. I do."
That's funny.
So yeah, go ahead, RJ.
Oh, I was just gonna say, we could probably start wrapping up. We've been going for a little over an hour.
Oh yeah.
Austin, it's been great talking to you, bro.
Hey, you guys are awesome, and you are definitely my friends. I appreciate the hell out of you guys for having me on here and letting me represent Ratstick. And I really like what you guys are doing.
Yeah, sweet.
Thank you. Likewise. Like we're definitely gonna. I mean, I personally am definitely gonna keep my eye out for more new Ratstick.
Oh, for
Right
sure.
on, man.
In the future,
Yeah, it should be soon. We're those 2 songs I played for you. We're getting them. I think we just got them mastered.
Hell yeah, man.
Nice.
Like 2 days ago. So we're gonna figure out release dates for those. We're probably gonna record a music video for one of them.
Awesome.
Probably put one out by itself and then record a music video for the other, and then put both of those out at the same time. And then I think in November we're back to the studio to see what's up with the rest of these songs.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, everyone check out Ratstick on all major streaming platforms, I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Yeah, dude, for sure. Ratstick on all streaming platforms, and our Instagram is rat.stick.band. Facebook's just Ratstick Band. Check us out there. We got merch too. We got a merch store linked to our Instagram.
Okay,
Check that out. You can get CDs, koozies, T-shirts, whatever you want. We got all the swag.
You got everything,
I
eh?
might have
cans
to
of
put an
beans.
order in.
Oh yeah. Well, dude, shout out to Devin, our drummer, Elijah, our other guitar player, Alex, our vocalist, and Brandon for sure for getting me in touch with you guys to begin with and throwing it down on the bass with us.
Yeah, shout out to Brandon.
Thank you guys so much for having me on. I really appreciate it and look forward to talking to you guys soon.
Yeah, of course, man.
Yeah,
Take it
likewise,
easy.
man. It was great having you on. Thanks.
Yeah, man.